Hey guys, Gore here. Welcome back to the channel. Over the course of my time on YouTube, I've covered countless different strategies, tips for new players, and in-depth guides on how to play certain kits. But the thing that's always been missing is how that looks when all those things come together to create a proficient squad. A squad that moves, shoots, and communicates as a unit and is therefore able to tackle far more than any unorganized group. So today, we're going to be covering how certain roles fit into a squad, the movement and relative location of squad members during and out of a fight, and how to communicate to your fellow squad members throughout a match. We'll also touch on certain squad tasks like logistics runs, manning and placements, and fob building. Before we get any further, about 81% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content here, consider hitting that sub button. And if you're watching this video within a few hours of release, I'm live streaming over on Twitch right now. Come on by for a bit or just to say hello. Now, let's get into things. So you've joined a squad, grabbed a kit, hopped in the logi, and are ready for a great game with your squad. But what does a great game look like, and how do we, as a part of the whole, carry our weight and do what we can in order to ensure our team comes out on top? While this is an incredibly complex subject, I'm going to try to break it down into a few specific aspects, all of which are equally as important in order to be successful. While we aren't going to be delving too deep into the expectations and strategies that make a good SL, we're going to address how you, a normal squad member, can be an influential part not only as a member of the team, but how you can take some weight off your SL, thus making mini operations far easier. Every successful squad that I've been a part of understands one very simple characteristic: sacrifice. This shows up in a multitude of different forms and is going to be one of the largest overarching points that I'm going to be making in this video. From the start of a game, whether you're already in the server at match start or if you join midway through, the first decision you have to make is what kit you're going to take. More often than not, players grab the kit they're the most comfortable with or enjoy the most. In steps our first example of sacrifice. Grabbing a kit you may not want to use, but is in the best interest of your squad. In my own personal opinion, the hierarchy of kit importance goes like this: medics, anti-tank, riflemen, and then everything else. Yes, the grenadier, machine gunner, and all the other kits have a purpose and can greatly benefit your squad, but the advantage these three kits give your squad far outweighs how many kills you can get with one of the others. An argument can be made for the importance of the combat engineer and sapper kits. These roles are incredible in several situations and can be a massive benefit to your team when used by an experienced player that understands the strengths and weaknesses of the kit and can employ it accordingly. So when you join any squad, you want to make sure that either you or other squad mates are occupying these three roles previously listed. In any full 9-man squad, 2 medics is a must. The ability to split your squad and have a medic in each element allows for so much more flexibility and capability for your squad. Next, in regards to anti-tank kits, having one of the 2 hat kits can play a huge part in your squad, but if it's unavailable, having one or both of the lat kits is highly encouraged. If you didn't know this already, each rifleman carries a portable ammo bag that can hold up to 100 ammo supply. These are your squad's saving grace in a plethora of situations. Squad leaders can rearm their rally, AT can grab additional rockets, and the medic can re-up on their bandages. If you're new to this game, you may be tired of hearing people tell you to grab the rifleman kit because you want to play with some of the more attractive looking kits, but you cannot begin to comprehend just how influential having that ammo bag is. As far as the amount of riflemen in your squad, the more the merrier in my opinion. I think 2 is the minimum, so if need be, 1 can be assigned to each anti-tank player in your squad to allow them multiple shots on armored targets and thus a higher chance of destroying them. Now that we've got our kits selected and we're headed out onto the battlefield, it's time to take a look at each of the kits in your squad and identify what your jobs may be and where you fit in. First and foremost, if your squad has one of the 3 lodges in the team, you best believe that puppy needs to keep moving. I won't say no one, because I've had my fair share of Euro Truck Simulator games where I quite enjoyed myself, but for the most part, not many players want to be stuck driving back to get supplies. Well, if you want to win any game of squad, understand that the better supplied team is oftentimes the winner. So by merely sacrificing, hey, there's that word again, part of the time where you could have been shooting things, you can ensure the likelihood of your team coming out on top. While lodges should always be kept moving, there are kits that should not be doing these runs. Squad leader, medics, and anti-tank should never be taken off the front line as they are far too important to the squad. Yes, squad leaders may sometimes do a run, but it is more often than not when they are trying to set up something new or perform a flank at some level. So if you find yourself using the automatic rifleman, grenadier, marksman, or machine gunner, guess who drew the short sticks? You guys. Riflemen can also do logistics runs if the need for portable ammo is not present at the time. The other jobs the squad may be tasked with fall onto the same kits more or less, besides one. That is, when any sort of initial building is being done and your squad is in a potentially dangerous area, you want the kits like the Grenadier and Machine Gunner punching out to provide security, while the kits like the Medic dig up the hab and any further emplacements. When it comes to manning any emplacement your squad leader may employ, it's really up to their discretion who they want on those. I usually find myself telling the less capable anti-infantry kits to get on them if we're all staying around the fob. One of the most important aspects of any successful infantry squad is how they communicate with one another. To start, I want to present a few acronyms to keep in mind whenever you find yourself needing to make any call out. The first is the rule of the 3Ds. No, not your mom's Tuesday night. Ooh, sweet burn. The 3Ds are distance, direction, and description. This information does not need to be given in that order, and it's actually far better to rearrange it to description, direction, distance. Additionally, this callout will sound different depending on if it's being done in local comms or squad comms. Local comms is the only time you will ever use exact degrees, since the people that will be able to hear this callout will be close by. An example of this over local would be enemy infantry 275, 200 meters out. Over squad comms, you would substitute degrees for a cardinal direction. So instead, you would say enemy infantry straight west, 200 meters out. When you give these cardinal directions over squad comms, there are a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, you want to give the direction that best suits the bulk of your squad. So if the enemy infantry is direct north of you, but 6 of your squad members are 100 meters east of you, you would tell them that the contact is northwest of their position. Cardinal directions aren't always the most precise, so some players break it down even further. For example, if there's enemy infantry southeast, but they're almost in the middle of southeast and south, you may hear players using the direction callout of enemy infantry south-southeast 200 meters. This just means they're cutting the pie into even smaller pieces to give your squad mates a more precise direction to look. The other acronym I'd like to touch on is ABC, or accuracy, brevity, clarity. Accuracy means conveying your callout in a way where the information is precise to where your teammates will know exactly where to look. Brevity is another word for conciseness, meaning your callout shouldn't be a 30-second ramble or you describing what color underwear the enemy is likely wearing. The sooner your transmission ends, the sooner your team can react to the threat. Clarity has to do with how you're actually speaking. Squad is a loud game, so stop whispering sweet nothings into your mic while gunshots are whizzing overhead. Say it with your chest, and do so in a way your callout cannot be mistaken. Next, let's talk about the movement of your squad while both in and out of a fight. Starting with the situations where you're not in contact, there's a few key things to keep in mind. The first is dispersion. If your squad is all huddled up, it only takes a frag RPG or a distant vehicle to make quick work of a full squad. Dispersion can very much so depend on the landscape you're moving through. Over open ground, you should be more spread out than if you're in urban terrain. I'm not going to give you an exact distance that you should space out from your squad mates. Just keep in mind how easy it would be in your current position to take out you and more teammates quickly. If it would be a cakewalk, spread out a bit more. The other reason we gain this dispersion has to do with when your squad transitions into a fight. If your squad is all huddled together when rounds start flying, it's going to be quite easy for a smaller force to keep you pinned down or eliminate you altogether. If you are more spread out, elements of your squad can immediately start to flank when contact is met or already be in a position to return effective fire. When it comes to positioning of your squad while moving freely about the map, you want your medics and squad leader located at the rear of the formation, while the other direct combat roles lead the way. Additionally, you never want either the automatic rifleman nor the machine gunner as the most advanced member of the squad. These kits have to deploy their bipod to be the most effective, so in a situation where they may stumble across some enemies, they're likely going to be unable to effectively engage them. Getting into when you and your squad enter an engagement, the best tool you have at your disposal is maneuverability. The second you lose the ability to maneuver, your squad is as good as dead. So what can we do to preserve this ability and ensure that our squad is coming out on top? Well, for one, individual skill can play a huge part in your team not getting too bogged down in one area with player after player being incapacitated. Skill doesn't mean much if your squad has no cover, so the first thing to do is locate said cover. The best cover in the game is the cover that enables you to reposition without your enemy seeing you. Things like hillsides and rows of buildings can be perfect for your squad to move to a new position and engage your enemy on your terms. This is where a lot of the personal freedom comes into play. If you watched my most recent squad video where I was playing on Fallujah, I noticed that our team had been advancing from the same direction for too long, so instead of continuing to do the same thing that had failed, I found a new route to engage the enemy from a direction they would not expect. When you find these safe flanking routes, the best and only thing you can really do is communicate to them what you did and how they can replicate that in order to find the same success. So these last two sections about squad movement are great and all when your squad is a cohesive unit, but from a lot of the comments you all leave, you're experiencing a lot of squads where people are all over the place. It is predominantly the squad leader's responsibility to keep a squad together, but that doesn't mean if your SL is radio silent, your squad has to be a shit show. Every single one of you who watches my videos wants that team play element in each and every round they play, so whether you have 10 hours or 1,000 hours, you can always do something. Talk to the rest of your squad. See who has a mic and is willing to work together. Even if only one or two others are willing to move as a unit, I promise you that will be a hell of a lot better experience than continuing to run around aimlessly. A lot of my videos give tips and advice that can be employed in the ideal squad conditions, but we all know not every game is going to be sunshine and rainbows. Some are going to suck, but by just being a proactive squad member and getting others talking, you'll have a far better experience than if you didn't. The last thing I want to touch on in this video is the mental side of what goes into a successful squad. So much of this game hangs in the balance of logistics runs, well-placed infantry squads, and competent armor squads, but none of that matters if you and your team crumble underneath the pressure. As a squad member, one of your biggest responsibilities is to not just shut your brain off and accept an unsuccessful strategy, but rather point out when something different needs to happen. Plans often go to shit. Don't accept defeat just because that one and only plan put into place didn't work. No one squad leader has the perfect plan each and every round. There is so much power that comes with humility and not being afraid to admit that what is being done isn't working. Too often, I see squads, both cohesive and spread to the wind, trying the same things over and over again, receiving the same result every time. And finally, the game isn't over till it's over. When you throw in the towel when your team still has 100 plus tickets or any amount for that matter, you not only diminish your own experience, but that of your teammates as well. Watching through this video, you may have some new questions that come to mind. With communication being one of the most important aspects of squad, making good callouts can be the deciding factor between winning and losing. So if you're still feeling uncomfortable with your abilities, check out this guide right here where we take a deep dive into callouts and communication at every level of squad.